Hey guys, today I'm bringing you another build. Today we're on Void Titan. Now, it's not just any sort of meta Void Titan with Vortex Grenade and everything of the sort. I decided to try a different approach, so we'll start with weapons because the main part of this kit is Collective Obligation. If you don't know, Collective Obligation is a Void-specific exotic where it can leech all three of the debuffs. So Suppression, Weaken, and Volatile if you shoot a target that's suppressed or weakened, or you have volatile rounds and you're shooting a target, they will go into like backup reserves for the gun. And what that means is whenever you decide these will be in your gun forever until you die or end an activity, they will stay in your gun until you need them. If you hold R, your gun will start firing all three of these debuffs. It is very powerful when you have all three of these debuffs and you can just destroy ads or bosses' health bars because you are weakening, volatiling, and suppressing them. This gun is very fun, and it is very unique, and I know it was not the greatest back when it came out, so with buffs it got a while back, it made this thing an actual monster, and I think it's being very underutilized in this Void meta that we have this season. So enough about Collective. Your Kinetic should be a weapon with Chill Clip. I was trying to use Deliverance, but I feel like it fires way too slow, so I just switched to my Riptide. A Chill Clip weapon can stun Overloads and Unstoppables. The slow, so one bullet from a fusion with Chill Clip, can stun an an Overload because it slows them. And slow is a key word for stasis that stuns Overloads. It is very nice. And then the second part of Chill Clip, which is what makes it such a good perk, is it can stun Unstoppables too, because if you shoot them twice with the fusion, it will freeze them, and when you shatter something that is frozen, an Unstoppable, it will stun them. So you can stun both champions with just one perk, and that is why I recommend using something with Chill Clip, a Riptide if you can get one. And then to stun anti-barriers, we have Collective with anti-barrier. So you can deal with all three champions with these two weapons. I recommend having a Chill Clip weapon in Collective at all times, even if you're in lower activities, because Chill Clip just outputs a lot of damage. The heavy weapon isn't really too specific. I had Taipan on for the Master Lost Sector I ran in this video, because the build kind of lacks damage a little bit, so I'd recommend a rocket or a linear more than anything, but it run wild if you want to use an LMG with target lock. I don't think any newer players will have it, but the one from last season, the retrofit, it can get 4th times a target lock, and it can deal a lot of damage if you have volatile, so I'd recommend that or a linear or a rocket. I just use Taipan because it's what I had in my inventory, but it's literally free reign. Do whatever you want. The armor is not really too specific. Obviously, just legendary armor, and the exotic of choice is Heart. I have Heart on because I would like to spam my grenade as much as possible, which is what this build is doing as well. It kind of has a few similarities with the Arc one, but your nade isn't like what you want to be. Your nade's more supportive than damage dealing. So if we get to the subclass tree finally, I can show you where you're using Suppressor Grenade. Suppressor Grenade is what's in the build because I want the suppress for Collective. It's the only way to get suppression on our Collective, and it just adds so much to the build if you can land this on a target and shoot a few bullets and do it with Collective to get the debuff. On top of that, our aspects are Controlled Demolitionist, so we can heal off of our volatile rounds. So when stuff explodes with volatile, we will get a portion of health back, and this will also give all of our abilities volatile. So Controlled Demolition is one of the perks you want the most on this build. This is an aspect you should never change. But if we go over to the other aspect, Bulwark. Bulwark's something I personally want on this build because you get your grenade faster when you're in a Ward of Dawn or have an Overshield. So if you throw a Sentinel Shield or you're in your ward and you have an Overshield, because when you connect the shield throw you get an Overshield, your nade will come back faster. Honestly, Bastion might be a little bit better just for like tankiness and survivability with your barricade because you will be placing a lot, but Bulwark is just such a nice ability in my opinion. Like, being able to check suppressors more and more is just something you want with the build, and especially with the Heart build, you want to have as much ability uptime as possible. We have Rally Barricade on strictly because it has a lower cooldown than Towering. The extra 10-second discount is very helpful when it comes to Heart buff cycling. And to get to the fragments, we have Echo of Domineering, strictly because we have the Suppressor Grenade on. This is the partner to Suppressor. If you have a Suppression nade on, you should have this fragment on. It gives you Void Breach on suppression kills, and it will also reload your guns when you connect suppression. So if you have a rocket on, you could throw a suppressor grenade, fire 2 rockets back to back like you have clown cartridge. This fragment is very strong if you can suppress in some way. To add to this, we have a cessation, which when you defeat a volatile target, which you should have up a lot, you create void breaches. These void breaches that you are creating will, one, with Echo of Starvation, give you Devour, which is a key part of the build because this is your survivability of the build. As long as you're killing stuff, if you have the void leeches up on collective, you will be killing everything and Devour will always be on. But also we have this on because we want the void breaches for the class ability. So we want Rally Barricade back so we can proc Heart more and our Bomber mods to give us the suppressor nades back. I want to be chucking this as much as possible against targets that are harder to kill and so that our collective has it. This also deals a chunk of damage and weakens, so having this up against any champion is very helpful. The last mod we have is Weaken Undermining. It's just a given mod, and it's the only way we can apply Weaken to our collective. And that's the subclass. And we've done weapons, so let's get to the mods. The mods are all about abilities. This is one of the first builds I'm using where I'm not using Surge mods at all. I think Surge mods should be on almost every build, but we make an exception with the artifact mods in this build. But just to get through the mod section, we have 3 orb generator mods on just because orbs are the build craft now. You want orbs to be generated at all times so you can get armor charges. Armor charges in this build, we have stacks on stacks, so every time you grab an orb you get 2 armor charges, and then we have charged up so you can carry 4. Those 4 armor charges are going to go into grenade kickstart, so every time you throw your nade, those 4 armor charges are going to get extracted from you and turned into grenade energy. So you'll get like half your grenade back with 4 armor charges. We also have innervation, so every time you pick up an orb, you get grenade energy back. We have bomber, so when you place your class ability, you get your nade energy back. We have distribution, so when you place your class ability, your barricade, you get your melee and grenade back. Reaper, so when you do place your class ability, I just realized all 3 of these are for class ability. Anyways, that's just the class item mods. Anyways, you get orbs when you get kills after you place your barricade, and then hands-on and ashes to assets are just for warded on energy to get them as fast as possible, and then standard resist mods. Next up, we should get to the artifact. With the artifact, there are a lot of perks you want to grab, specifically the discounted void and grenade mods. These are very important. As I said, anti-barrier for your collective is very important. Volatile flow is very important because you want to grab a lot of orbs, and this will give you continual volatile rounds. Even though you have your controlled demolition, this is still very helpful at keeping volatile up at all times, even with your like heavy weapon and such. Now we have Shatter Orbs, which is the best artifact mod we've ever gotten. It is going to be really good in certain activities to give you like so many orbs to where you could probably place 3 bubbles at once. If you are in, say, the Cosmodrome boss room of the new Battlegrounds, there are so many void shields in there that you will just get, you'll get a ton of wards, and it'll help a lot. Bricks from Beyond is very helpful with collective because you can generate a bunch of linear fusion rifle ammo or rocket ammo, just heavy ammo in general. This mod is very broken and very strong. And last but not least, we have void weapon channeling. We have this on so we can not use surges because this does the same thing as surges but just on kill instead of orb pickup. And if you have your Ward of Dawn and all 3 of your abilities, which you should almost never have with this build, I'm being honest, you will get a 25% damage bonus. And it'll drop down. So with 3 abilities, you'll have 22. I think with 2, it's 17, and with 1, it's 10. So as long as you have an ability, which with this build, you should almost always have a nade and or a class item ability, you should have a damage buff like at all times. So yeah, that's basically the build, and let's get into a gameplay. I'm doing a Master Lost sector, and I'm gonna be honest, it ran a little bit long, so I'm gonna speed up the boss fight, but I'll run through the gameplay loop when the gameplay's on the screen. Alright, so now to the gameplay portion. We are doing a -27 power level Master Lost sector, and keep in mind today's surges and overpowered weapon or overcharged weapons are not catered to the build whatsoever. So what you see is like raw gameplay to the Master Lost sector. Like you're just gonna see this raw build like raw with no extra damage bonuses or anything. So to start off, we're just gonna get a few kills on these stray ads that are just in the middle of nowhere. The whole idea of the build is to chuck your grenade and shoot your collective right after, because your grenade is giving weaken, suppression, and volatile to the one ad you throw it at. So we will stun these champions, and you will see what I mean. We'll stun it. That nade alone is giving him 3 different debuffs, and shooting it with collective here will give our collective those 3 debuffs when I hold reload. So now collective is amped up, and it is ready to spray down an ad or 2. Or 70. But yeah, the whole idea is to get your grenade uptime as much as possible, so chuck your abilities, place your class ability. Just to get your nade back, and chuck it just so your collective can go crazy. It does store the abilities, but just in case you run out, you will always have your nade ready. And that's just the general like gameplay of the build. You just want to get Void Leech charged on your collective, and you're gonna see it in action right here. We're gonna stun this champion, and we're gonna pop our collective and start going to town on him. It chunks his health bar, and keep in mind this is a nerfed collective obligation. Like, Bungie announced the other day that pulse rifles as a whole, even exotics, are gonna get a 20% damage buff. It's gonna be coming in a few weeks, but just like collective is gonna get even better, and this build will get even better in the weeks to come. So if you think it's strong now, it's only gonna get better. And yeah, like the whole idea of the build, like I said, throw your nade, shoot collective a bunch. The linear is here just for the champions, and same with the Riptide. Everything else is just straight collective. You want to place your bubble as much as possible because it will give you your grenade back, and it will give your collective a damage boost that does stack with void channeling, so you can get some insane damage numbers out if you have all your buffs stacked. If you guys are enjoying the video, I would appreciate a like, a sub. I'm trying to hit 500 subs, and yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. The boss fight does run a little long, so I did speed it up a little bit, so I hope you don't mind, but it's literally just killing ass and shooting the boss and his chunky ass health bar, because I'll get to him around the 5-minute mark probably, and I don't complete this for another like 7 minutes because his health bar is so chunky. So if you want to stick around and watch, if you don't, I appreciate you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Peace.